morning and happy new year. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host, and I am really fired up. This is going to be an amazing year, and we are kicking the year off on Breakthrough Walls with a good friend of mine, somebody I've known for at least a couple of years on social media. And she is an absolute rock star, literally. Like, you'll understand why I'm saying that here in a second. But I'd like to welcome my friend Lauren Bateman to the show. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Hey, Ken, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. It's going pretty well. Yeah, I'm excited about
Fantastic.
2019.
Yeah, 2019, lots of good things going on.
Good, good.
And it's only the second.
I know, right? If you would move just a little to your right, there you go, right there, right there. You're
Perfect.
a little bit
I can
off,
do that.
yeah. So,
Okay.
so Lauren, I've been, we've been friends, I guess, at a distance, on social media. I've watched you, I've followed you, I've seen what you're up to, and you are doing some really amazing things. I remember talking to you, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so,
Yes. Yep.
and things definitely were not where they are at this moment for you. They,
No.
they were, I think they were moving up, but they weren't moving at the pace I think that they are now.
Yeah, I was just kind of starting the online in the YouTube thing, and you gave me a few pointers, and that has grown quite a bit since our conversation. So
Has
thank
it?
you for that. Oh
That
yeah,
that's awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
YouTube SEO stuff works, doesn't it?
It does. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah, I think I've got at least 250,000 views now
Oh
on
wow.
like the videos and tons of watch time because obviously they're instructional guitar lesson stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so now I'm like a whole YouTube, AdWords provider for YouTube. So I qualified
Oh,
for that. So, yeah,
good
it's
for
growing and I
you.
get, obviously new subscribers and stuff every day. So.
That's awesome. I need some subscribers on my YouTube channel. I only have 90.
Yeah, you need a few more than that.
I know, I know. I've never, what's crazy is, although I know YouTube SEO obviously very well, I've never pushed my YouTube channel. I don't know why. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
YouTube is more for the creatives and stuff like me, doing the lessons or, the
Yeah.
how-tos and all that stuff. So,
Right, right. So let's back up. This show is about helping people have a breakthrough. Good morning, Tammy. How are you? And I think that, well, I know that you've had your ups and downs in life, and you've overcome them and succeeded anyway. And I know you have not just one music studio, but multiple,
yes,
right?
yes,
How many?
yes, multiple. We're working on the third one right now.
That's incredible. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. So you are you're the definition of a successful entrepreneur, and so I want to talk about first let's start with where you were born and raised.
Yeah, so I'm from Boston. I was born just north of the city. I grew up in Medford my entire life, and yeah, my mom and dad were divorced growing up, so there's that whole fun issue. Raised as like the wonderful Catholic girl in the Catholic school. Being the token divorce kids back then.
Oh
That's what
wow.
you were back then. It was like me and I think one other kid who had like divorced parents in the entire class. So we got made fun of a lot for that. But yeah, so I grew up in Massachusetts. I've been here my entire life. I live a little bit more on the North Shore now, but that's where I opened my first music school actually was in my hometown.
By the way, Ray Bryant, I love Ray. He's on here and he says hi to
Hey,
both of
Ray.
us. He says Lauren is amazing. I agree with him. I agree with
Thanks,
him.
Ray.
Ray's a great guy. Fireman Ray, you guys need to go follow him. So, so, um, so you grew up on, you said the North Shore?
Yeah, it's north of the city.
Okay, I've not been there, so
Yeah, I always say Boston because people have a general idea of Boston was, and I was about like 5 miles north of the city.
you have no Boston accent except for you did just say I dear.
Yes. So the funny thing about going to school in Boston, so I actually went to college at Boston University, and I got made fun of all the time for my lovely Boston accent. Now,
Wow.
so both of my parents are Italian, so I have the full blown like Sopranos accent. So if my dad came through the door right now, I'd start talking like this. Hey dad, how's it going? What are we doing? It's just, that was literally how I talk. But obviously, I went to school and also I'm a voice coach. So, I became much more aware of my voice. And I
Yeah.
think that changed a lot. My sister's a speech therapist and she's like, you lost your Boston accent. But yeah, I still put the R's at the end where I'm not supposed to.
I love it. That's
But yeah.
awesome. So you park the car. And I'm like,
Oh, I
I can't
packed
even.
the car and have it yet all day.
That's so funny. So you grew up in and again I've been to my wife's cousin lives in Foxborough or somewhere
Okay.
around there. So
Yep.
we came out there. We actually drove out there years ago, and we were in Foxborough, and that's about the extent of my Boston experience. I did see the stadium, like it's there, right? We drove
There,
past
yep.
the stadium. We went to a restaurant that's like 200 years old or something crazy. It was phenomenal.
Oh,
It was a phenomenal place.
that's
I
cool.
forget the name of it, but so there's lots of history in Boston for sure.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
so you grew up there. You were from a divorce, and you went to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
Oh wow, um,
13 years of Catholic school.
nice, nice,
Yeah.
wow. So my wife is actually in the other room on the phone with a client, but she's very Catholic herself.
Yep.
Um, so so okay. So let's talk about um, like you weren't always an entrepreneur, were you?
No. No, I used to work for a pharmaceutical company,
Okay,
actually. Yeah,
doing
so I went to school, I did the whole college, get the degree thing. I didn't even it's funny because my grandfather actually was an entrepreneur and had his own raincoat factory, but I never really knew what an entrepreneur was or that was even like a career path.
right.
Not something you're taught growing up. I mean, I knew my grandfather had a factory and I used to run around all the fabric and everything and all the press machines and stuff. So I remember being there, but it never clicking with me that was like a profession.
Right.
So I went to school, I got a degree. My degree was in biology and archaeology. I worked construction for a little while, and then I got a job working for a pharmaceutical company for a number of years. And while I enjoyed the people I worked with, I enjoyed the work. I just, it wasn't my calling. I wasn't feeling alive being there.
Yeah.
And I had always done music. Music was always something that I fell back to, something that I always loved. So I was just like, man, how do I do something more with music?
Mm.
So that was kind of like the bug that started. I went on this cruise. So it was like a Norwegian cruise line. It was like a folk festival on a cruise. So there were a bunch of performers and stuff. I brought my guitar. I did some performing in the lounges there, and I came back and I was like, I need to do more of that. That's like,
Were you paid for these performances, or this was just
no,
you
I
were
was just
there
doing
as
it
a
for free. Yeah, I was
you
just
were
doing it.
you were just on the cruise as a guest.
Right.
Yeah.
So they
Okay.
had performances, that you paid for the cruise and they had people
Yeah.
on there, like Lyle Lovett and,
Yeah.
people like that, singer-songwriter types. And so you would go to those shows, but they also had lounges throughout the ship. So usually when they have normal cruise ships, like they hire bands to play in those lounges. But
Yeah.
so I would set up in a lounge that no one was using and I'd start playing guitar and like people are coming up to me like asking for my autograph. I'm like, I'm not even anyone. I'm just here playing my guitar.
Wow.
But because it was, a place where people appreciated music, people would stop and listen to you.
Right.
So it was super cool. So I came back and I was just like, how do I do more of that? How do I do more of this and less of what I'm doing now?
Now, in the pharmaceutical company, you were in sales?
No. No,
Oh.
I actually worked in the lab.
Oh,
Yep,
wow.
I worked in a cancer research department. Yeah.
Wow. So you wore the white coat and all
Yeah,
that?
so no sales background, no
Wow. Oh
nothing.
my gosh.
Yeah, so you're talking about
Wow.
someone, I mean, and this is what I tell people when I coach entrepreneurs too, because I coach
Yeah.
other musicians and
Yeah.
stuff as well. I say, I don't have a degree in music. I have no sales background. I have no business background. I don't have a business education. So it's like, if I can do it, you can do it,
Yes.
especially if you have
Amen.
the music degree.
Amen. I agree with that.
Um,
So what got you into music? Because I know you teach and play guitar and all that. Are there any other musical instruments that you got into?
Yeah, so I
Percussions,
actually started on piano when I was younger.
piano.
Yeah, I
Ah,
started on piano and hated it. Absolutely hated it.
did you? I
I
love the piano.
did, and I ended up quitting, when I was like 12, and I didn't do anything with music for a while. And then my sister bought me a guitar when I was 16, as kind of like a birthday present. And it was funny because my mom at the time, because of course I like wasted the piano lessons. My mom was like, don't buy her the guitar. She's not going to use it. She's not going to do anything with it. So of course my parent, no one paid for lessons because I wasted the piano lessons. So I had to teach myself how to play the guitar. And I think I'm a very just creative person
Yeah.
anyway. So I was able to be a lot more creative on the guitar, which I think inspired me more. So the guitar really stuck and that really picked up.
Wow.
And I did that for many years and I took lessons later in life. And I also do singing. I started singing when I was 23 and I did drums for a couple years when I was like 24. So
Wow.
most of my musical experience is actually when I was an adult.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So so this wasn't like I've played guitar since I was like 7, so 43 years. That's crazy. But I used to just and I'm self-taught. I can't read one single note of music, not one. Those little bar things, like ugh, ugh.
I'm pretty good at reading rhythm, but I stink at actually reading music.
Well, my
Believe
wife
it.
can read music, but I cannot. Like I can't. And for somebody to say, well, here, just follow this tab, which I can read tab, but like I don't like to. I'd rather just listen to it and figure it out. I play by ear.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, but I know I'm nowhere near the level that you are because I've never really tried to hone the skill. It's just something I've always done, and I can play probably 200 or 300 chords. But there's
Yep.
probably 2,000 or 3,000. I mean songs. I meant not chords. There's probably 2,000 or 3,000 songs that are all on the G, C, and D.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you know G, C, and D, you got it. You can play just
You're
about
golden.
anything.
You're
Right.
golden.
Throw in an F chord here and there and an A minor, and you're good. So your journey started at 16 playing guitar, and you. I thought it was going to be like, somebody gave me one of those toy guitars at 1, and the rest was history.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's it. I mean, I picked it up as like a teenager, but I wasn't like the kid who started at 6 or 7 and it just like stuck with them. That's why I tell people like, I hated piano. I quit piano. I didn't like it. It was just not the right instrument for me.
Let me ask you, because sometimes when I get into we develop websites and marketing plans and stuff like that. And so, like, one of the things that will happen to me once in a while is I'll be in the middle of developing a graphic or a video or something, and I'll just go blank, like creative block, right? So one of the things that I always do is I turn around and I grab my guitar and I'll just chill for 5 minutes and and it takes me to another place. And I don't know if you can relate to that. Does that
Yes,
happen to you?
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's what, like I said, I was allowed to be more creative on the guitar, and I think that's what drew me to the guitar was the fact that I could go to that other place.
Yeah. Like you go to this other place and I what Dr. Wayne Dyer one time in one of his books I read said the magic in music is the silence in between the notes.
Yes.
And I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
I tell guitar players, and my guitar teacher even taught me when you're learning to play solos and stuff, sometimes less is more.
Yes.
And some of the best players out there play the least number of notes. And it's like, yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah. Freebird.
Yeah, Freebird. Don't get me started, Ken.
Hey, that's one of my favorite all-time guitar solos, lead guitar solos. But I'm way older than you, so
Yeah.
but I think that, and again, it's like some of the most famous bands in the world, like and Mindy Rosen's on here. Happy New Year to you as well, Mindy. So the Eagles, like how
Those are
many
great.
songs do they have literally that are in G, C, and D? I mean, there's a
There's a lot.
ton. And Hotel California isn't even that difficult, right? So people think that now, me personally, there is no way I could teach music, guitar rather. No way. I've tried it, and I just don't like when people you're trying to teach them how the action and how to. No, don't. I get angry. Like, how can you be holding your hand like that? No.
I know. I've had parents, when you teach, obviously, because you teach kids, you teach adults, and the parents are like, "You are the most patient person in the world," and I'm just like, I don't know. I guess I have a lot of patience, and that's what makes me a good teacher.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
I didn't think I could teach either. I mean, I like I said before, I had no experience teaching, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs get into that block where they're like, well, I can't do this because I don't have this skill set or I've never done this before.
Right.
And they're scared to take that little bit of a leap. So what I did when I was contemplating whether or not I was even going to start teaching music, because at the time I started teaching guitar, I wasn't even that good of a guitar player at the time because I was mostly self-taught. I had just started taking lessons with a guitar teacher to learn some more robust skills as a guitar teacher myself.
Yeah.
So I went next door and my fiance was there and I was like, "Hey, can I show you something real quick?" And it was like a little tabbed out piece of music, Ode to Joy. I said, "Just want to show you, can you just humor me for a minute? Let me see if I can show you how to play this." So I gave her the guitar, showed her how to hold it, and she tried playing two notes, and I ripped the guitar out of her hand. I said, "Thank you very much," and I went and built a website because I was like, I forgot how hard it was for someone to be a beginner
Yeah.
because I had been playing so long, and I just saw her struggling so much to get one note, and I was like, "Holy crap, I can do this! Like, this is
Wow.
totally easy now."
Wow.
So even though I had no experience doing that, I didn't even have a curriculum. I had to like create my curriculum as I was going and figure out what's the best way to teach people, what order to teach things.
Wow.
So
That
don't
is
be afraid to take those leaps when you're
That's it.
scared.
That's it. I totally agree with that because like so many people I've heard, I don't know, hundreds of people probably in my life that have seen me play or listened to me sing or whatever and went, "Man, I wish I could do that." And it makes it to me, like my father's the oldest of seven boys and they're all musicians. They're all mainly
Okay.
guitar, right? And many of them have been in bands and whatever. I've never been in a band, but like, I just think, why do you wish? Just do. Like, how? I don't understand that, right? And that's what this show's about, really, is stop wishing and start going and doing and like for example, you have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, I
And, and
do.
and on YouTube, you literally give free guitar lessons,
Yep.
basic to
And I teach you
advanced.
lots of songs with the chords G, D, C, and E minor.
E minor. Got to throw
Yep,
some E
exactly.
minor. Neil Young in there. So
Yep.
everything Neil Young did was in E minor.
Good old Neil.
I know. But so you have so you left. Let's back up. So you were in
Yeah.
pharmaceutical working, and by the way, biology is the reason I didn't graduate high school, just for the record. I failed it in 10th grade, and they expected me to have that to graduate. And I'm like, what am I going to
Oh,
use that for? I hate biology. There's a reason I failed it, okay? I'm never using that. So I aced
I'm
calculus,
not good at this.
trigonometry, analytic geometry, everything else. Let's move on past the biology thing, y'all. And they weren't having it. But anyway, so you left the pharmaceutical company, right? At some point.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it was funny because I was very good friends and still am friends with, one of my managers there. And I think they all knew that I was kind of going the music route because I was recording an album and I was performing a lot. So, you know, I was at, I forget, I was out and one time my boss was like, when you go off to be a rock star, can you just give me like 3 months notice that you're going to be leaving?
That's
Because the
awesome.
job I did at the pharmaceutical company was fairly specialized. I worked on a specific piece of software, that we use to do like statistical analysis and all that fun stuff. So, I walked into her office one day and I sat down and I said, I just wanted to let you know I'm giving you my 3 months notice. And I did because I said, yeah, sure. I'll make sure I do that.
Wow.
And I did. I walked in, I gave them my 3 months notice. I worked my heart out until the very end there. But at that point, what I had started doing was starting in March of 2010, I started getting students. I started advertising as a teacher. So I was building my business while I was still working.
Mm-hmm.
So I could build up some cash flow because, I was making good money at the pharmaceutical company. I had health insurance benefits, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I had to make sure that I had some income to compensate for the fact that I was going to lose a lot of income in the beginning. And basically all that money that I made from teaching, I just stashed it aside, put it in a savings account so that I would have it
Yeah.
for the time being. So I think August 1st was my first day that I wasn't working. So I must have given notice July, June. So I gave notice in May that
Wow.
that August 1st was I was going to be done.
That was it.
And that
Couple
was it.
couple
Yeah.
months before Christmas makes all the sense in the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I again, like to me, it does, right? Like I can remember going through a divorce and things were absolutely upside down in my life at that time, and I was working at this company and was their top rep. But my
hmm
attitude was bad. I called the sales manager out for smoking weed in a company vehicle, and I paid the price for that because they fired me. And
Yeah.
I can remember thinking, "Oh my God, I lost my job." And I'm like, and then like I don't know when it happened, but quickly there was a shift and it was like, wait a minute, I don't need a job. I can start my own deal. And I did.
Right.
And I went out that day and knocked on doors and made a sale. So like
Yeah.
and that's what the entrepreneurial mindset's all about. Like just do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, people, they'll ask me, and even though some of these tactics are old school now, people be like, what did you do to build your business in the beginning? Because I remember I looked at I actually was shredding taxes. I found my tax return from 2010. So I made $10,000 my first year in business.
Yeah.
And, people are like, what do you do? And I used to get up on Sundays, 5 o'clock in the morning, because most people sleep in on Sundays, right?
Yep.
So in the neighborhood I lived in, a lot of people parked their cars on the street. So I would make flyers and I would walk around for 3 hours and I would flyer people's cars
That
until,
is awesome. That's what
you're
I did. I
thinking,
did the same stuff. I get that.
So it's like, people are like, you got up at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday? And I'm like, yeah. And you just walked around. I must have walked like, I don't know how many miles I walked in a day, but that was it. I was like, hey, this is the most bang for my buck that I can do. Cause I didn't have, now I have advertising budgets and I know how much I'm going to put into this type of marketing and that. Back then it was like, what can I do for free that will get me people?
Yep.
And that's it. It's almost like going on people's doors and knocking.
Yeah. I
Hey,
love
I
it.
opened a business up the street. Do you like guitar? You want to take some lessons?
I love it. I love that. And
You
so
know?
that's grassroots marketing.
Right.
That's where it's at. Like I don't again, I'm not in the position where I need to do that anymore, and I'm sure you're not.
Right.
But like if you're starting, I've actually had brand new salespeople come to me and think that they don't need to cold call, that I should be feeding them leads or whatever. And it's like, dude, what? I've worked 16 years in this. The leads are my leads. You get your
Right.
own leads. Like,
Right. And
homie,
I
don't
remember in
play
the
that.
beginning being scared of the phone. I
Yeah.
was in the beginning. I was very scared, because I had like my little crummy website and I had like a little contact form and people would contact you
Yeah.
and then you'd play the email game trying to
Yeah.
schedule stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I really got to get over this fear of talking to people on the phone because I didn't have much confidence as a salesperson.
Sure.
I'd never done sales before. And, but I just got more and more comfortable on the phone,
Did you educate yourself? Did you
a
read
little
any
bit.
books?
Yeah, I had read some business books, not a lot of stuff on sales. I think I'm fortunate in that I have one of those chameleon type personalities,
Yeah. Yeah.
where I'm very good at read, and I'm just, not to like stroke my ego or anything, but I'm a fairly likable person.
Well, I like you. I agree. You
and
are.
and people buy from people they like.
Yes.
So, so I think I have that. And I think people just felt comfortable with me. And obviously, I did tons of sales calls where I was like, that was horrible. Oh, why did I say that? Like you learn, you make mistakes and you keep learning about, okay, that was not the right thing to say. In this situation, I should have said that. So the more of it you do,
Yeah.
obviously the more confident you become in your sales skills.
Yep.
But that's it. I do remember being very, very scared of calling someone on the phone.
So you have I mean, look, you and when was this that you started the music business? How long ago?
So the music school opened November 2012. So what's that like? So
6 years.
little over 6 years.
6, 7 years. Yeah, 6.5 years. So that's pretty cool. So you started. I mean, that's recent, really. It
Yeah, when you
probably
think I was
seems like
doing
a
the whole
lifetime.
synopsis and I was like, wow, I was like, I've done 3 locations in 6 years. I'm like, that's pretty impressive. Like it
No,
didn't
that's
dawn on
incredible.
me, that was the time frame that things were done in. So
That's incredible, Lauren, and you should be proud of that. I think that it's, there's a difference between being proud of something and being overly prideful of something.
yeah.
And I think that it's awesome. And so you just started 6+ years ago, and you now are opening your third music school. You have other people teaching for you.
Right.
Also, I mean, you still teach, right?
Very little. I don't teach a lot. I'm more on like kind of like the big picture managing side
That's
of things. So I'm kind of
incredible.
the CEO I'm actually the CEO of the company. So I'm not
Yeah.
making the sales calls anymore. I'm not, I'm actually not really even hiring the people anymore. I have managers who kind of help me with that at school. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing is I'm opening the new locations. I'm doing the marketing. So I'm kind of doing the high level stuff,
I love it.
which I really enjoy, and now I have the time to do the online stuff with the YouTube channel. And, I wouldn't have had time to do that 5 years ago.
That's
Because
so
I was very
awesome.
much working in the business at that point. I was teaching 5 days a week. So
Yeah. And it's a tough shift to go from working in the business as a worker bee / CEO to being just a CEO. And there is a difference.
Yes.
There is
It's
a difference.
hard and I still have trouble. I'm reading a book right now called Clockwork, and it's about that whole process of like, hey, you need to focus on what the big picture goal is for your company, and all your time needs to be spent towards reaching that goal, or pushing whatever that role is. And, if you're over here trying to make, if you have people who make sales calls for you, let them make the sales calls. Like, you
Yeah.
shouldn't be getting in their way.
Yeah.
And I still have to remind myself, because I still find myself like, problem pops up and I find myself wanting to jump in and fix
Yep.
it. And I have to sometimes say like, oh, nope, step back. Like, that's their job. Let them handle it. And it's hard.
It
Yeah, I think
is.
that's hard for a lot of entrepreneurs
I've
because we're
I've
control
I've been
freaks.
there. Like like I said earlier about those are my leads, But
Right.
I've been there where I'm like, hey man, I can't, like, it's tough to let go of control of certain things,
Oh, yeah,
or not even
absolutely.
letting go of control, but delegating and being hands off, right? Like, that's tough. That's very tough.
Right. Yeah. Or, and something else they talked about in the book, and not this book, I've read other books that talk
Yeah.
about this too, but empowering your employees to have the confidence to make decisions when you delegate.
Yeah.
So when they come back and ask you questions, don't answer the questions for them. Have them come to you with the solution,
Yeah.
you know,
I
because
love
that's what
it.
you're paying them to do. You're paying them to not ask you questions, but to create solutions to problems.
I love that. Love that. So you're getting good at that, and I really think that the better you get at delegating and letting other people, your team, help you build and be a part of it and make it it's like, our mutual friend Grant Cardone. Look at what he's accomplished, and I've watched him do this in just 4 or 5 short years, like,
Yep.
just explode. You've seen it. I mean, we've
Yeah.
all seen it. It's been incredible, and it's because of the people that he has around him. He can't make all those calls. He can't do all that on his own,
Right.
right?
Right. Absolutely.
So Lauren, you are, again, you're the epitome of an entrepreneur. Like, you are like, and what's really cool is, because creatives have a tendency, and I'm one as well, of spending a lot of time in the right brain, like over there in the creative side. Like, I just want to play music and paint pictures,
Right.
but it takes that balance of being able to navigate both sides of your brain and tie them together and use the analytical side as well. Um, by the way, percussions is very, very helpful. Like, I play drums as well. It's
Oh,
very
yeah.
helpful to learn how to use both sides of your brain simultaneously because you have to.
Absolutely.
It's impossible to play
Absolutely.
drums. Whenever I see an incredibly good drum player, which there's a lot out there, I automatically know that is a very intelligent human being.
Hmm.
Very intelligent.
Yep.
So I think we had a freeze up there for a second. But so
Oh,
let me ask you a
yeah.
question.
I might move into,
What's
I'm
that?
going to move closer to my router.
Oh,
I
I
said I'm going
don't
to
think
move closer to my router.
it's just the internet. It's the way it is. What a
Okay.
beautiful office you have there, though. Beautiful
Thank you.
place. So the what is it you think? Because I know that along the way you've dealt with a lot of you said you do coaching with other music people. I don't know if they have music studios or they're just
Yeah, some of them have music studios. A lot of them are kind of the solopreneur. They're just getting started,
right.
or they've been doing the solopreneur thing for a while and they want to start learning how to leverage their time, how to start hiring employees. So I've helped a number of people kind of at that beginner intermediate stage where like they're like, okay, good, I kind of got something going here. And I think this also happens to entrepreneurs a lot, but they're like, I'm getting sucked back into my business is sucking my life away.
Yeah, yeah.
And we
Well,
all go through that because we're trying to do everything in
yeah.
our business.
Well, that, and like, it'll the business will suck your life away. I think too many people. I know this, as a matter of fact, because I coach business people too. not musicians. I'll send them to you. But I coach, business people. I've coached some celebrities on how to use social media and stuff. But
Right.
the one thing that I see that's very, very common among entrepreneurs is I've been doing this for a year and a half nonstop and it's still not
Right.
working. And I go back to, I wrote about this in my book. I have a friend whose father started a company many years ago, 30 plus years ago. And I mean, I've only known him since he was doing 100 million a year, right? So I'm like, they've always been rich and successful, right? So one day
Right.
I had my first employee in my first office location, and I couldn't make payroll. It was gone. The money wasn't coming in. I had receivables that weren't paying. And I'm like, oh my God.
I've been there.
Right? So
I think
I
we've
call
all
up
been
my
there.
buddy's dad and I said, listen, man, I don't want any money from you. I don't want any. And I had to walk out of my office outside. I'm standing way outside, way out in the parking lot because I didn't want my one employee to hear this conversation. And I'm like, how do you make it? I don't get it. How do you make it? I can't
Right.
figure this out. I'm struggling and I'm dying on the vine here, and I don't know what to do. How in the world did you make it? Have you always had money? He goes, no, Ken, look, there's no secret to success. If there is one, this is it right here. You stay in the ring, you keep running, you keep fighting, you keep swinging,
That's it.
and you don't let that tiger catch you. Period. Just keep going.
Yep.
And told me stories about not being able. I was $400,000 in credit card debt, maxed out all my credit cards, and couldn't make payroll. And he said, and some
Yep.
people left, and some people stayed. The ones that stayed are now all multimillionaires,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing. It's not easy. But let me ask you this: what do you think it is that keeps people stuck?
I think it's their own mindset of growth. I think, we get to we like being comfortable. And I go through this too, even with this third location, trying to get this thing open. One of my managers was like, why haven't you opened it already? And I was like, because he knows me. He's worked for me since the beginning of the business. He's like,
Right?
why haven't you done this? And I was like, you want me to be honest with you? I said, because I know it's going to be a lot of work. And I was like, and I don't know if I'm ready to give up my free time yet to do
Oh,
all that work.
yep.
So it was that I was comfortable with being like, hey, cool, it's Tuesday at 2:00. I'm going to go walk on the beach.
Right?
I was enjoying that, but obviously, you got to jump back in the business when it needs you. And I knew
Yeah.
that opening a third location would require me to jump back in the business. So I think people get comfortable with a certain lifestyle, or they get comfortable with what they think people want them to be. This person thinks this is successful, or this person thinks that's successful. So I think you got to be willing to get uncomfortable.
I 1000% agree with you. I 1000% agree. And growth only occurs via pain most of
Right.
the time. And
Yep.
it's not, and I'm not, it doesn't have to be, well, I got in the ring with Mike Tyson my first day of boxing lessons and he killed me and I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
It's got to be on a gradient, and you've got to see your business and your life on that gradient.
Right. It's a calculated risk. I mean, when I
Right.
opened my first commercial location, I was debating between two spaces. One of them was like $1,400 a month. It was a smaller space too. It was $1,400 a month. It included utilities. I'm like, wow, this is a deal for
Yeah.
probably maybe like, I don't know, 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So then I looked at this other place that had some rooms already built out, and I'm like, crap, it's $2,000 a month plus utilities. So I'm like, ugh. And my fiance's like, you're going to need the bigger space, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, probably. So I bit the bullet, like almost my entire, like I took a giant pay cut
Yeah.
to go to this commercial space. And she was right, because within 2 years that we were going to be needing a bigger space than the bigger space I initially got.
Right.
So it was like, yeah, I was very uncomfortable making that decision, but it was a calculated risk because I knew my business. I could kind of see where the growth was going. I could
Yeah.
tell there was a market for it. So yeah, did it hurt a little bit in the beginning? Yes, but once we got the business going, it was fine.
Right.
And we needed that space. We did end up using that entire space.
Right.
So it's a calculated risk, but you know, making yourself uncomfortable isn't a bad thing.
Right. But there are people out there, I mean, literally, it's the majority that are perfectly happy and maybe not happy. They're comfortable being comfortable, right? Like I got that steady paycheck. I know it's not, I'm not making 500 grand a year, $1 million a year, or whatever, but I make 40 or 50, 60,000 a year. And hey, nobody's going without a meal around here. We're good. And again, I'm not cutting on that in any way. I can't relate to that personally. I cannot relate. Like, I think that it's, and you say calculated risk, right? You say that, but what if nobody shows up and takes lessons from you? You're done. All your calculations in the world are over, right?
Right.
So it's more of a, hey, I'm jumping out of this airplane and I'm just going to believe that somewhere along the way down, I'm going to find a parachute and be able to latch onto it and not die. I mean, that's kind of the way it is.
I mean, projections are great until the projection's wrong.
Right.
And it happens in business. I mean, last year was a perfect example. Like, usually, like, January is like a slam dunk for us. And last year, like, we had like nobody signed up in January. We're like, what the hell happened? Like, what?
Right.
What's wrong here? So, you can project and you can understand your market and your business, but sometimes that's why they're projections, they're not fact.
Yep. You're right.
So things can go wrong. I mean, I had a car crash through my building after I opened it. That wasn't in my projections.
What?
Yeah, 2 years after we opened, almost literally 2 years after we opened the music school, that location, a car crashed through the front of the building and wiped the business out overnight. The building got condemned. We couldn't use it anymore. So that was not in the.
Oh my God!
Obviously, I didn't write in my projections. Okay, car crash.
That wasn't in the business plan.
That wasn't in the business plan. So. Yeah, there's things in business that, like, talk about calculated risk. I mean, we could have gone out of business over that. Fortunately, we didn't because of the person I am. But, we persisted and we opened up a new location, but it was just like, that wasn't in the projection.
Wow. No.
That was nowhere in the budget.
No. Wow.
So stuff happens in business.
It does, man. It does, and in life, right? And people don't. I think that again, people get stuck. Like they go, well, I tried that once. Like I'm in a couple of different network marketing companies that I absolutely love. And I believe in network marketing. I think it's a great thing especially for people that have always gone, I don't know if it's for me being an entrepreneur. Well, the barrier to entry is like $500 at the most, really. And most of these are, some of them are like $50, but like, it's a way for you to get in and get around a lot of great people that have a lot of high energy and can help. Right.
Right.
But I've owned a business my entire adult life in one form or another. And so I love being an entrepreneur, and I think that it's something everybody should do. I do. I just think everybody should at least give it a go once. I mean, you only live once that I'm aware of. So give it everything you have. So if someone, and I ask this question of every single guest I have on the show, And you know, I want to ask this question so I don't forget. If somebody called you and they said, Lauren, I saw you on Ken Wall's show, and listen, I'm in a bad way. My car got repoed 2 weeks ago. The electric's being shut off tomorrow. I can't, I'm having a tough time feeding my kids, and I don't know, you know, what to do. Everything I keep trying is just not working, and I'm frustrated, and I don't know what to do. What's the first thing that you're going to say to them? Because you and I know that it starts right here, starts in your mind with your mindset. But what are you going to say to that person to help them get over that hump?
So some people might not agree with my answer, but this is the entrepreneur.
Right.
Literally, I would tell them to go out and just start begging people for money. I mean, that if you have no skills, if you have nothing,
yeah,
you can at least go out and get money. Yes, do people in this society think less of people who do that? But if that is your only option, I think that's the difference between entrepreneurs and the common person, is our pride doesn't get in the way. We're willing to do anything to survive. So if someone were in that situation, that they were that low, be like, don't feel like begging is out of the equation.
I
because
do
it's
not
not.
disagree with you. I do
Because
not
it's
disagree.
not. It's not. But obviously, you know, at some point they need to get beyond that stage. But in the
Right.
beginning, when you're in a situation like that, it's survival mode. You got to do what you got to do to survive.
Yes. Amen. I agree. And I'm not saying I'm in no way advocating begging as a career path. But
I mean, I used to busk in the subways. I used to get my guitar, bring it down, open up my case, and people would throw dollar bills in my case.
wow.
And I wasn't, you know, was I proud? I mean, I had a skill, I had music, I used it, but I mean, essentially it's kind of a form of begging.
Well,
when you
yeah.
think about it.
Yeah, but
it's
I
like,
mean,
I
you
got
know.
the case open, and if this person likes what I'm doing, they might throw $1 in, or 25 cents if they had a quarter in their pocket or something.
Right,
You know,
right,
the bank
right.
hated me. I'd show up with all these like Sacagawea dollar coins that nobody wanted.
Well, you know, I think that, you know, Gary Vee talks about it, and you know, he talks about, you know, if like, look, if you were in a position that was that bad, those headphones you have on, that chair you're sitting on, that beautiful blue vase behind you, like, sell it.
Yep.
Buy it. You can buy it. You can replace it later. You can go back. You can always rebuild, but sell something. You've got to sell something. Your basement is filled with stuff that it's in the basement for a reason. Like, you don't use it. Sell it. Like it's again. And I love that about you. Now you watched. I did a free webinar teaching how to SEO YouTube videos.
Yep.
And you got on there, and I had a couple of people actually reach out and hire me to do it for them because they just didn't want to do it. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll do it for you. But you know, you watched it, and I think you watched it many times to learn what I was teaching. And because you communicated with me, and you were like, dude, like, this stuff has, like, changed my YouTube existence. And I'm like, really?
Right.
I was blown away by it. But, like, that's what I mean is you didn't just sit back and go, oh, yeah, well, there's a guy doing a free webinar that, you know, blah, blah. You took it in, and you took massive action. Massive.
Right.
And you created some incredible stuff because of that. So it's just like your business. Right? Once you get over the hump of, well, I'm pretty comfortable and you know, and into the mode of this studio, this new place is getting open now. Like, you'll take massive freaking action. That's what we do.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. And if it takes, you know, a 24-hour day to do that, it takes a 24-hour day to do that. And you'll do it.
That's it. You do it. You just do it. So what advice do you have for the struggling and or the new entrepreneur that is struggling? What's the one last piece of advice you would give them that would change the trajectory of their chosen career path?
Yeah, so I think if it's someone who's just getting started, or even someone that's struggling, I think an important thing in the beginning is to write down kind of like the focus points to focus on. Because I think in the beginning, there's so many things, like all these things and you've probably read a million books and there's like 500 points you got to hit to get your business successful. I think you need to focus on the one thing that you're really good at or that your business is really good at, and focus on that and make that the center point, because that's where success starts. It doesn't start by doing all these specialized marketing things and all this and that. It really starts with that fundamental process that makes your business tick.
Love it. I love it. How can everybody follow you?
Yeah, so you can follow me. I mean, I'm on Instagram. It's the Lauren Bateman. On YouTube, you can look up, just type Lauren Bateman into YouTube, you'll find me. But I have a bunch of guitar videos. My website is laurenbateman.com. So I have a bunch of tutorials and stuff on the website. So feel free, reach out, message me. If you send me a personal message, I do try to respond to everything that I can within the most timely manner. But yeah, those are the easiest options online.
That is awesome. And I know that if I wanted lessons from you, I'm sure you would work out something.
Oh, absolutely.
For me. And just like anybody, because that's just who you are. You're a great person. And I love your energy. I love what you're doing. I love what you've accomplished in such a short period of time. It's amazing.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Congratulations on all your success. Lauren, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're busy.
Absolutely.
Thank you for taking the time. Hopefully this time next year, maybe we can have you come back on and talk about your 6 locations.
Perfect.
Right?
Exponential growth, right?
Love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on, taking the time. I appreciate you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with everyone?
Just, the persistence that you talked about earlier. If you're going to do this entrepreneurial thing, you have to be willing to fail thousands of times and keep pushing forward. There's going to be days where you wake up where you say, I'm going to quit, but you just got to push through the day. And I promise you, things get better if you just don't give up.
I love it. You're right. You're right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on.
Awesome, Ken. Thanks for having me.
All right. Don't hang up. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much to everybody who shared this out and who has watched this, and the replay viewers. You all rock as well. So thank you guys. Appreciate all of you. Have a great day. And Happy New Year.